Fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today on our beautiful team call. Just to let you know, we're restructuring things a little bit, which I'm really excited about because we have some epic, amazing human beings in our team. We're very, very blessed. So we're actually going to be rotating the team calls so that you won't just hear from me, you're going to hear from our silver leaders as well. So Carmen, Heather and Beck, which is awesome. So this week I have the pleasure of introducing you to the amazing, the wonderful Carmen King. Hello, beautiful. So for those that don't know Carmen, Carmen is a mama of 3 young children. She's absolutely amazing. The things that she achieved around her very full life as a mum to, young kids. If anyone's got young kids, you'll know how demanding and crazy and challenging it can be at times to fit things in around, children. But Carmen's going to jump on and share a little bit about how she works her business around her family and some positive thinking stuff. But I think what Carmen's going to share is going to be really relevant for even, I know there's some of you in our team who don't have children. So it's the same that goes for any kind of, life, because whether you work, have other commitments, whatever your thing is, like I don't think I've ever met a person that says, oh my God, I'm so not busy. I just have so much time on my hands. I don't know what to do with my life. Everyone's pretty full and busy. So I'm really excited to hear Carmen's tips. And then after that, we are joined by the beautiful Kim Reed, our upline presidential diamond. So I was chatting with Kim over the weekend and about, just end of month stuff. So she's going to share some tips on how she sort of approaches mentally end of month and maintaining rank and growing her business, as well as the action side of things. So I'm really excited to hear from Kim as well. So thanks all for joining us. I'm going to chuck it your way now, Carmen, so jump on in.
Thanks, Carla. I was actually really excited when Carla said that Kim was coming on, because I'm really excited I love listening to Kim in general, obviously, and secondly, because it kind of shortened my window, which I was also quite happy about since it's my first first chat. So, lovely to meet you all via Zoom. So when I first started, it was April, actually. I'm just going to very quickly tell a little bit of my background. I'll be fast. But just why it's sort of quite close to my heart. Hold on, I'll just try and... Anyway, the managing time is obviously something that's applicable to everyone, but also I sort of thought I'd interweave that a little bit with the power of positive thinking. Sounds a bit slightly wanky because we've heard it so much. But the book that I love is actually called The Power of Positive Thinking. And this guy, Norman Vincent Peale, is pretty much the father of it. And when he wrote the book over 50 years ago, it was a totally new concept. And he talks about it in very, very practical ways. And so I read it in January of this year, and I've always known about positive thinking and that you should be speaking out what you want to happen, and your positive thoughts are going to manifest what's in your life, basically. But after I read this, there was just so many things that struck me that were so clear. So the situation that we were in at the time was I have 3 children at the time, 3 under 4, that we had like 3 under 3 when the baby was born. We had 3 under 3.5. My husband was pretty much working over 100-hour weeks, so 15-hour days. He'd left home at 8 in the morning. He'd be lucky to be home at 2 a.m. every day. So he was a bit of a shell as well himself. I'd be quite lucky to get a 5-minute coffee with him in the morning before he left for work. And then on the weekend, he was working like 8-10 hours both days over the weekend too. And I just never saw him. I found mum life quite sort of isolating, I guess, because I didn't want to I didn't want to throw my children into daycare. And nothing against people that do, but like I was home with 3 of them, so obviously that was sort of like the cheaper and better option anyway. And yeah, so I just was really struggling a bit at the time that I came across this book. And when I read it, it just completely changed my entire outlook on life. And I gave it to my husband and I was like, read this. And he doesn't really read that much, but he just read it. And both of our lives kind of were changed. And one of the main things that I took out of it was this story about this old guy who came into Norman Vincent Peale, who's he's a really famous pastor at the Marble Collegiate Church in New York. And when we went there for a visit, I'm not a big traveller, it sounds like I am when I say that. I'm not. It's like the only overseas trip we've ever done. So when I visited New York, I went to the Marble Collegiate Church. It's awesome. It's on Madison Avenue. And anyway, I went to a service. He's not around any longer, but he was writing books into his 90s. And yeah, so he tells a story of a guy who came to him for help, who said, I've lost everything. Like, my life is ruined. I've completely lost everything. And Norman said to him, well, okay, you know, maybe we should make a list of the things that you've still got. Like, what can we focus on that's positive? He said, and this guy said, you're not listening. I've lost everything. I have no hope. I can't rebuild. There is absolutely nothing I can do. Like, I'm buggered. I don't know what to do in life. Really depressed, just, you know, like what he thought was the lowest of low positions. And so Norman said to him, well, look, I'm really sorry to hear. So you don't have a house anymore? And this guy said, no, the house is fine. Oh, okay. So what about your wife? Like, is she still with you? Oh, yeah, she'd never leave me. My wife's amazing. Kids, are they talking to you? Oh, yeah, they're so supportive. Have you got any friends? yeah, I've got friends. And so this guy ends up writing a list, and he said, all right, I think I get your gist. Like, all right, we'll write this list of what I've got going for me. You know, still had a place to live, wife, kids who loved him, friends, also, you know, good health, a good brain, you know, ability to understand the industry that he was in. And he just completely changed his outlook just by writing a list of the positive things in his life. And I guess that was what I did at the time, because before I read this book, if you'd said to me, how are you? How's life going? I would have said, yeah, it's okay. But I would have had a lot of caveats in there. I would have said, yeah, but I'd like to see my husband more. Yeah, but, you know, I'm bloody tired. I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling lonely. Like, there would have been all these caveats. But after reading the book, I was like, you know what? We need to just be like, I need to focus on those positive things, which are, I have a husband who I love. I have children and they're all healthy. I get to stay home and look after them. Like, just turning around that mental thing just made a huge difference. So so when doTERRA came into my life, it was weird. It was just the perfect time for me mentally. Like, I was 100% ready to just throw myself into something. And I've always been very naturally inclined, and like food is medicine and blah, blah, not blah. So the oils, they just aligned perfectly. And aside from a little week-long hesitation there, Carla and Kim are aware of that, I was just like, yes, this is the best ever. So obviously, so at the time when I started, my kids were all, still 3 under 4. Life was pretty crazy. My husband's hours hadn't changed at all. So, and I didn't have help. I'm not really near my their grandparents or my parents. I have a sister who I'd meet for coffee, but like, honestly, taking 3 children to meet my corporate sister for coffee in the city is like more of an effort than a like fun outing. And so, so that was where I was at. But doTERRA just gave me like networking with adult women. So much fun, not talking to children 24/7. So there were all these positive things about the business, obviously, aside from the business, which is really good. Excuse me, as well. But as far as time commitments, what I've just done, and this is obviously applicable to everybody, but it's just finding those little nooks and crannies where you can just put 100% into it. So for me, I've got quite strict with nap times since I've started doTERRA. So like the children will nap. I've had people say to me, my oldest is now just 4, when are you going to cut out her nap time? I'm like, when she goes to school. Never. It's not going to happen. She doesn't have to sleep. She just has to quiet time. My mother made us nap till we were like 10 and we survived. And then their bedtime 7, and literally I do all my work at night because my husband's out. So that's when I work. And I've actually had a lovely girl who is, I'm so excited now, on my team. I don't think she's on the call. Anyway, she's a beautiful, holistically minded, healthy Pilates, yoga, massage instructor. And she said, Carmen, is that balanced? Like, you know, you're with the children all day, you don't have a second to think of yourself, and then as soon as they go to bed, you're doing work. And I'm like, and she was, I said, no, I don't need balance. And then she said to me, actually, that actually is a form of balance for you, because you're thinking child stuff all day long, and you switching to your business and being creative about something that you're already passionate about, that is balance for you. That is you getting your stimulation that you need, that you're not getting during the day. And she just like nailed it. So it's just, I just thought that fitted in, because it's just another way, like it's just a different way of looking at it. So rather than looking at it like I'm busy all day long, I'm breastfeeding all night long, 4 times a night still, trying to cut that down, it's not working. And like, yeah, I've got this window at night time, which I'm filling up. But I'm, looking at that like that actually is a balance, is a sort of a positive thing as well. I was going to talk about worry, but I'm just going to cancel because I feel like I've been talking for ages. Yeah, I have. Okay. So I'm just going to go to this one quote from this book, which you need to read, The Power of Positive Thinking, Norman Vincent Peale, it will change your life. Okay. And I'm just going to read it. It's a couple of paragraphs, but you just have to hear every word. And it's really basic. He writes in really basic language, like he's my bestie now. I feel like we're friends. Okay. So, all right. So he just talks about putting all of ourselves into something. And when we do that, it's going to manifest. And I actually have to talk about, link this back to Kim when she talked about the GoPro event and something Eric Waugh said about what is your main focus. And it doesn't have to be what you're spending the most time on, but it has to be your number one focus. And that's the thing that's going to grow. And when I read this, because I like reread it a lot. So I read this again the other night, and it just made me straight away think of what Kim said, which is, okay, so our ability to create and manifest and do and be successful, when we are positive in our thinking, is just amazing. So we need to expect the best, get the best possible outcome, see it into our brains, not as a remote possibility, but as the expected outcome. So expecting is very different to hoping. Very, very different. So to quote from my friend Norman, when you expect the best instead of the worst, for the reason that being freed from self-doubt, you can put your whole self into your endeavour, and nothing can stand in the way of the person who focuses their entire self on a problem. So what this does to me is it means we have incredible power and ability when we give our whole selves. So then it goes on and says, when the entire concentration of all your force, physical, emotional, and spiritual, is brought to bear, the consolidation of these powers properly employed is quite irresistible. Expecting the best means that you put your whole heart, i.e. the central essence of your personality, into what you want to accomplish. People are defeated in life not because of lack of ability, but lack of wholeheartedness. And then finally, a major key to success in this life, to attaining that which you deeply desire, is to be completely released and throw all that there is of yourself into your job or any project in which you're engaged. In other words, whatever you are doing, give it all you've got, give it every bit of yourself, hold nothing back. Life cannot deny itself to the person who gives life their all. Anyway, that's it. I just love that quote. It's quite exciting to me. That's me done. Thanks, Carl.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And that it's like we didn't actually talk about that exactly, but that's going to lead so beautifully into what Kim's going to talk about, which is like, yes. Thank you so much for sharing, Carmen. That's awesome. So, Kim Reid, how are you? You can unmute. I'll allow you to unmute.
Okay.
El Presidente.
Thanks, Carla.
So I really
Awesome.
wanted to invite you on here just to share your wisdom and some really sort of practical mindset stuff that Carmen sort of touched on right now, which is awesome. But I know like our team is really, I'm just so impressed with you all. Like, we've done so much amazing things so far already this month, and I know it can feel like the month is almost over sometimes at this stage of the month, but there's so much more magic that happens, and there's so many new people in our team who haven't experienced that magic of the last final days, the final hours. So Kim, do you want to, I'll just let you take over now.
Thanks. Okay, yeah, thanks, Carmen. That did lead very nicely into what I wanted to say, and I really loved one of your last statements, which was about expecting, not hoping, and that there's a difference between expecting something and hoping that something will happen. And sometimes at the end of the month, people might be hoping that they'll reach their rank. Oh, I hope so. I would love to. But they're not expecting it, and expecting it and making it happen no matter what are two totally different things. So for me, I've always expected that I'll maintain or move forward rank. It's always been a non-negotiable for me. Going back in rank, even when I was elite or premier, it just wasn't something I was going to let happen. I was always going to maintain or move forward, even if it didn't mean a bonus for me. Like, obviously you don't get a bonus at elite, but for me it was a non-negotiable that I was always moving forward in my business, not going backwards. And that's something that I notice with leaders. They're always moving forward. They're always expecting to maintain rank. They're not saying, oh, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to get a bonus anyway. Or they're not saying, with a week to go, nah, it's not going to happen, I've got no classes, or no one in my team's got anything booked, no one's doing anything. That is not something I would have ever said. Even early on in my business, it was my business. I was going to make things happen no matter what. I've always loved end of month, and I know for some people it can be quite stressful, but it's really about how we perceive that end of month. And I just think it's such a fun time, and obviously I work really closely with my frontline leaders, and Carla will know in sort of my leadership group how we make it really, really fun. And lots of gifts come out on the end of month week, because I think we go a little bit crazy in those last few days, and we just try and lighten it up a little bit and make it a little bit fun. And that's something I've done, as I've said, the whole time. And I didn't always have platinum and diamond leaders, obviously. I started off with zero volume, and I started off just moving my way through the ranks, but I always loved end of month. And I remember so many months, even when I very first started, how Tara would say to me, I would tell her my goals at the start of the month. Tara, I'm going for silver, I'm going for gold, whatever my goal was. And then with a few days left to go, she would message me, and she'd probably look in my back office and see that I had a fair bit still to go, and she'd say to me, how are you going, Kim? How are you going for your rank? And I would always, without a doubt, say, don't worry, Tara, I'll make it come in. Like, I always didn't have a clear plan, but I knew I was going to make it happen no matter what. I always just said to her, don't worry, I'll make it happen. It's happening. And she was always mind blown. I just remember her always saying, Kim, I don't know how you do this. You just pull volume out of nowhere. I don't know how you do this. And if you want to know the how, like most people are saying, but how? Where did it come from? Well, it just come from doing whatever it took. Like I would do a last minute class at my house and invite 1 million people that I've already invited 10 times already. I'd invite them the 11th time to a class. I would do another last minute online class, even if sometimes, most of the times nothing happened, but I would just keep doing things. I'd do an online class. I'd reach out to all my customers and make sure that they know what this month's special was. I would make sure that everyone's done a wellness consult. I would reach out to that person that said that they would have a class 5 times but still haven't booked one in, and I'd say, look, I'm going for a goal. Will you have one in the next few days for me? I really need to make this happen. I would just do anything. I would be doing stuff constantly. What I wouldn't be doing is saying, I don't know how I'm going to do this. Nobody's doing anything. My team aren't stepping up. There's no builders in my team. Like, I was always just doing action. I didn't have time to doubt myself. I didn't have time to think, where is this volume coming? I was just too busy doing stuff. One of my favorite, I don't know if it's a quote or if it's a saying or whatever it is that I've shared a few times, is that leaders spend like 5% of their time on the problem and 95% of their time on the solution. So I'm always looking for what I can be doing, not worrying about what's not working. Yeah, just some other stories. I remember the month that I was going for, was it presidential or blue? I can't remember. It was one of my big ranks. I was going for a big rank. I think it might have been Blue Diamond. And I traveled, I think, about 6 hours for a class. 6 hours for a class. Went all that way. I had a new person that I'd enrolled the month before, and she was interested in doing the business, said she was going to get all her friends there. Travelled there for 6 hours on my last few days of going for Blue Diamond. Travelled all that way, had got accommodation the night before, went to her house that morning. Only 3 people came and nobody enrolled. They were all really negative, saying really negative stuff. No one enrolled. And then that straight after the class, I had to drive home 5 or 6 hours. All the way home, all I was thinking was ways that I could bring in more volume. I thought of about 20 new ideas on that whole drive home. I even had a conversation with Carla. I remember talking, you probably won't remember Carla, but we did a few boxes on that drive home because we were going for that big goal. And I remember boxing Carla. I remember boxing all my leaders on my drive on my way home. I don't know if that's very safe. I don't recommend doing that. But I was making stuff happen, and I remember laughing about it with my leaders and just thinking of other things that we were going to do. I didn't think, holy crap, I'm not going to make this. This sucks. I've just wasted all this time. Like, I didn't have time for that. I just wanted to create things and think of new ideas. So if you've got all this time to think about why things aren't working, you could be using that time to actually be building your business. I don't have time to think about that kind of stuff because I've been building a business for the last 3.5 years, and I don't have time to think about all the reasons why it can't work. I'm just going to be doing stuff to make it happen. Okay, did I have any notes to talk to you about? So I guess what I really wanted to talk to you about, and it just fitted in really well with what Carmen was saying, is just how important the mindset is. And I guarantee you, with all the leaders that I've had within my team over the last few years, I guarantee you that what sets the people apart that move forward through the ranks and the people that don't is their mindset and what they believe that they can achieve. Because so many times I will see people give me all their reasons why they can't, and the people that are moving forward are the people that are giving me all their reasons why they can. Everyone has reasons why they can't. Everyone. I had heaps of reasons why I couldn't when I first started. And you guys might know the story that I actually, on the day that I ordered my kit, I quit. I joined doTERRA, bought my kit, and then watched a video on how to present a class, and then contacted my upline Tara that night and told her that it's not for me. And that was because I watched a video and was so scared on how to do a class that I thought, there's no way I can do that. Then I realised that there's no way I could fit it in. I've got 3 kids. I was working in a management position at that point in time in an office, but also doing some work from home, and I was studying my health coaching. There's no way I had enough time. My background's in teaching and had worked my way up into a really well-paying management position. I sort of thought, what's everyone going to be thinking about me doing oils classes while I've got this really good job? Like, I had given myself heaps of reasons why I shouldn't do it, heaps. And I could have stayed not doing it. But then, of course, a few days later, and I was sort of thinking about that for days and days, and was going between the reasons why I shouldn't and the reasons why I should. And the reasons why I should was for my family. And that was way more important than all my fears. Like, building a life for my family is like one of my top priorities. So of course that's going to win over. I wanted to be more home with the kids. I wanted to travel Australia with them. I wanted to really create some long-lasting memories with them. I wanted to create a legacy for them. I wanted to show them what's possible when you really believe that you can achieve something. And of course that outweighs my fears about getting up and doing a class. Like, when I think about it now, it just seems quite ridiculous that I was going to give this up because I was scared to do a class and I thought that I didn't have enough time. Now I've got all the time. I'm here for the kids all the time. I drop them off at school, we pick them up. Rob's here with me all the time. Like, we have all the time to spend with our kids. So that was all just a shift in mindset. So nothing had changed in my situations in between the time that I thought there's no way I can do this, and for all those reasons, in between I'm going to do this anyway, nothing had changed except for my mindset. And that's how important having a really strong positive mindset, focusing on the reasons why you can, and just focusing on actually building your business and analysing everything so much is what's going to move you forward. Any questions? Is there anything you wanted me to add, Carla?
No, not particularly. I think you did an all right job. No, but if anyone does have any questions, now's the chance to ask the Presidee. They're gone quiet. They're so shy.
Thanks, Heather. Thanks, Jen.
No, it's so true. And I love the point that you pointed out, that nothing in your situation had actually changed. Nothing was different. The only thing that had changed was what was within you and up here, the stories that you were telling yourself about it. So it's so true. I just had a call with our beautiful silver leaders just before this, and we were talking about just having that, if you are met with an obstacle, rather than focusing on the obstacle in front of you, all you got to work out is whether you're going to go underneath it, over it, or around it. Like, that's your focus, not the actual obstacle itself. And that's, those boxes back and forth from that trip. That's it, a gift in itself, isn't it? That gave you actually 6 hours in the car to actually brainstorm new ideas that you wouldn't have had otherwise. pretty cool.
Exactly. It was a blessing.
Such a blessing. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Kim, and thanks, Carmen, for sharing your bits and pieces as well. It's like the universe just allowed for you guys to be able to just flow into that so beautifully. So we are heading into the final days of the month. Can you all hear me, or does it sound a bit crackly? No? That's all right. I was just getting a bit.
I can hear you, but you paused.
Have I paused with a funny face?
Just your videos paused. But that doesn't matter.
Just your pictures paused, but we can hear you fine.
That's all right. I'm probably pulling a weird face, but that's just me, so you'll just have to deal with that. So we are coming into the end of the month. So I'd love for you guys to jump in our Essential Circle tribe Facebook group and share some ideas about how you can be really solution focused rather than problem focused. That's a really beautiful space that you guys can use to cheer each other on. Like Kim said, like, it's beautiful that we can share and jump on. Oh, says my internet's unstable. Can you still hear?